Agivar felt it happen and nearly ruined the whole thing by gasping. "Bro," he whispered to himself, crouched in the shadow. "I think I used stealth." The beast sniffed the air, confused. Beorne took advantage of the opening and slammed into it from the side with his shoulder, driving it away from the fallen guard. The impact should have hurt far more than it did. Instead, his new body absorbed the collision like iron wrapped in muscle. He raised his axe again, but this time he stopped fighting the unfamiliar weight and let his body guide him. His hands adjusted, his feet planted, his shoulders turned. The axe came down. The blade bit into the beast's back, and dark blood splashed across the road. The creature howled and twisted violently, knocking Beorne away. He stumbled backward into the side of the carriage, rattling the wooden frame, then grabbed the rail to keep from falling. "That was disgusting," Beorne said, breathing hard as he looked at the blood on the axe. "But also kind of awesome, and I feel weird about admitting that." The beast turned toward him, wounded but not dead. Its pale eyes burned with pain and rage as it crouched low, muscles trembling, ready to pounce. Behind it, Agivar emerged from the shadows with another arrow drawn. The bowstring snapped, and the arrow flew into the beast near the ribs. It screamed and spun, but Agivar was already moving, his steps light, sharp and precise, as he slipped just beyond the creature's reach. "I think my reflexes are doing most of the work," Agivar shouted, nearly laughing from panic. "I am only partially involved." Beorne pushed himself upright and grinned despite the blood, dirt and pain. "Good. Let your character cook." The beast lunged at Agivar, but Beorne intercepted it. He swung the axe in a wide arc, and the creature ducked beneath the blade before raking its claws across his side. Pain burned through him. Beorne growled, more shocked than injured, and grabbed the creature by the scruff of its neck with one hand. The villagers stared. The barbarian held the beast back with raw strength, boots digging into the dirt as the monster snapped inches from his face. Its jaws clicked near his cheek, and hot, foul breath washed over him. Beorne's arm trembled, but he did not let go. "Shoot it!" Beorne shouted. Agivar drew another arrow, but his fingers trembled against the string. The beast and Beorne were too close together, their bodies twisting in the lantern light. "I might hit you!" Beorne bared his teeth. "Then do not hit me!" "That is not a technical instruction," Agivar yelled. Marishka leaned farther over the carriage railing, her eyes locked onto the beast's movement. "Aim for the pale eye when it twists left." Agivar did not question her. The beast thrashed, and Beorne roared as he forced its head sideways with every ounce of strength he could gather. For half a second, one pale eye caught the lantern light. Agivar released. The arrow flew straight into the beast's eye. The creature convulsed. Beorne used the moment to lift the wounded monster off balance and drive it down into the road. He raised his axe one final time, his breath ragged and his muscles burning. The blade fell with a heavy sound that silenced the night. The beast went still. For a while, nobody spoke. The only sounds were the horse's frightened breathing, Enel's shaky gasp, and Beorne's heavy panting as he stood over the dead creature. Agivar slowly lowered his bow. Beorne's axe was buried in the dirt beside the monster, and his hands began to shake now that the battle had ended. The wild heat in his blood faded, leaving pain, exhaustion, and the frightening realization that he had killed something real. Agivar looked at the arrow in his hand, then at the beast on the road. "I think we just fought our first monster," he said quietly. Beorne swallowed, his grin gone. "Yeah, I think we did." Marishka climbed down from the carriage and approached them carefully, her earlier sarcasm softened by genuine concern. "Are you both hurt?" Beorne glanced at the claw marks across his side, then looked back at her with a tired attempt at humour. "I am bleeding, but I am not dying. I think. If I suddenly fall over, please pretend I said something cool first." Agivar checked himself quickly, then shook his head. "I am fine. My heart is trying to escape my body, but other than that, I am fine." Lorien stepped down beside them, his face pale but composed as he looked from Beorne to Agivar. "You discovered your abilities." Beorne looked at his axe, then at the dead monster. "Not all of them," Agivar nodded slowly. "Just enough not to die." Jamart approached them cautiously. His spear was lowered now, though his grip had not fully relaxed. The other guards stared at Beorne differently. Fear remained, but it was no longer the same fear as before. They had feared him as a raider, a brute, a walking reminder of old stories. Now they feared him as something dangerous that had chosen to stand between them and the dark. Jamart looked at the dead beast, then at the fallen guard being helped to his feet by another villager. The man was injured, shaken and pale, but alive. Only after seeing that did Jamart turn back to Beorne. "You killed a duskmaw," Jamart said. Beorne wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his arm. "Is that what this thing is called?" Jamart nodded. "They do not often hunt alone. When they do, it means hunger drove them close to the road." Agivar glanced toward the dark hills. "That is comforting in absolutely no way." Jamart looked at Agivar next, then at Marishka and Lorien. His confusion had not vanished, but gratitude now sat beside it. "You saved one of my men." Beorne pointed toward Agivar. "He did most of the clean shooting." Agivar immediately shook his head. "He held the monster still. I only shot the eye because Marishka told me where to aim." Marishka lifted both hands. "I only said what I saw. Do not make me sound responsible, because I am still weaponless and emotionally unprepared." Lorien cleared his throat and lifted his chin. "I provided moral support and road navigation." Marishka stared at him. "You froze in front of a horse." "I provided earlier road navigation," Lorien said with absolute seriousness. Jamart looked between them, clearly confused by their strange way of speaking, but he could not deny what had happened in front of him. Whatever these travellers were, they had not run. They had fought for people who had pointed spears at them moments before. At last, Jamart turned toward the gate. "Open it," he shouted. "Let them in." The guards hesitated only a moment before obeying. The heavy wooden gate creaked open, spilling warm lantern light across the road. Beyond it, the village of Ashbarrow waited with narrow streets, timber houses, smoking chimneys, and frightened faces peering from windows and doorways. The sight of that warm light after the darkness of the road made even Marishka go quiet for a moment. Malvern exhaled in relief, while Enel held her bundle close and gave the travellers a grateful nod. Jamart stepped aside and lowered his spear fully. "You may enter Ashbarrow," he said. "No weapons raised inside the gate, no trouble with the villagers, and barbarian." Beorne stiffened. "Yes." Jamart looked at the dead duskmaw, then back at him. "Try not to smile at people suddenly. You look like you're about to raid something." Beorne's shoulders dropped. "Bro, I am trying my best." Agivar patted his arm with solemn sympathy. "Your best is terrifying." Marishka sighed, but for the first time that night, her expression softened. Together the four travellers passed through the gate. Behind them, the road vanished into darkness. Ahead of them, Ashbarrow opened its doors.